All right, back at it again. All right, seeing the place to be. Ric Serritella here with you on this Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. This is the All Access Football Show. This is your home for real football talk. And I tell you, nobody covers the NFL draft and everything pigskin like All Access Football. If you go over to the website, the NFL Draft Bible scouting department is just on fire right now. We've got updated big board rankings, top 30 draft eligible prospects at each position. We got NFL draft team watch previews posted up on the website. Of course, the scout notebook was posted just yesterday, highlighting all the top performers, prospects on our radar for the upcoming 2026 NFL draft. Destination Pittsburgh. And boy, oh boy, what a jam-packed show we've got lined up for you today here for the next hour of power. Ric Serritella in the saddle here, September 23rd, 2025. It's our 23rd episode of the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live 7 days a week, each and every day. No days off. We're covering the football universe. Today, we're going to get it all in. We got Monday Night Football recap. We got a lot of NFL news and notes to get to. We've also got, in the B block, some college football looking ahead at the upcoming weekend. Some excellent matchups. We'll tell you who we're looking at in terms of the NFL draft radar with that. And then how about the CFL big press conference yesterday announcing all these rule changes? I'll tell you why they totally missed the boat on what they're supposed to do. And I think I have a pretty good perspective, having worked in the Canadian Football League, being a U.S. resident. They're trying to appeal to more fans. This is not how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get into that later in the show in the B block. And then coming up in the C block, I'm really looking forward to having the commissioner of the new Continental Football League, Mike Kelly, join the show. That's going to be at 10:40 a.m. Eastern. And of course, Coach Kelly, head coach for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Maybe we'll get his thoughts on some of these CFL rule changes, but we're looking forward to diving in the Continental Football League, which kicks off summer of 2026. I'm really excited about it. And Mike Kelly's the right man for the job. So we're so happy that he can spend some time with us here in the show. But we will begin with the Monday Night Football and the Detroit Lions, which I did have. I put the Ravens on upset alert last week, and we got one right with the Lions showing us their roar, telling us who they are, and saying, hey, don't forget about us when it comes to the NFL power rankings. And we'll have our power rankings on the world famous All Access Football Report tomorrow on the website, read by 50,000 subscribers, 70 countries around the world, and all 32 NFL teams. So are you subscribed yet? If not, what are you doing? But the Detroit Lions, just too much for the Baltimore Ravens to handle. How about David Montgomery busting out with big runs all over the place, 151 yards rushing, getting caught from behind on that one touchdown run? But that's not what David Montgomery's about. He's not about that breakaway speed, but he can break some tackles, get loose in the open field. You saw that last night, 12 for $151. Jahmyr Gibbs, 22 for 67. Gibbs also adding 32 receiving yards. And Amon-Ra St. Brown just doing what he does, finding the pay dirt. Jared Goff, efficient once again, 20 of 28, passing 202 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. And, listen, the Ravens, obviously, they felt the loss of Matabuke there in the middle and Kyle Van Noy, so they were down a few men on the defensive side of the ball. But, man, I'll tell you what, you've got this future Pro Football Hall of Fame candidate and Derrick Henry fumbling all over the gridiron. I mean, this has become a problem now for Derrick Henry. He was at a loss for words in his post-game presser, apologized to his teammates, and Henry once again with a costly fumble, and 38-30, the Detroit Lions come out on top. But I'll tell you one thing, Lamar Jackson, he just continues to improve, in my opinion, as maybe the most lethal passer. I mean, this guy zips the ball in tight windows. He throws on the run. He makes throws that most quarterbacks can't. And I'll tell you what, he's a really good one. If you go back to the NFL draft when he came out, most notably Bill Polian was leading the charge for Lamar Jackson to be a wide receiver in the National Football League. But man, could you imagine 21 of 27 last night, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And how about this? He's got the highest passer rating in NFL history. NFL history. the highest passer rating. Pretty damn good for Lamar Jackson. He did have 7 carries for 35 rushing yards, but again, it came down to the costly Derrick Henry fumble. And David Montgomery, a career high 151 rushing yards. Montgomery had explosive runs, 10 yards or more for only the 4th time in his career, 87 yards after 6 missed tackles for. So that's what David Montgomery does. He picks up yards after contact and gains additional yards. That's what you want out of your feature back. And they got a hell of a 1-2 punch combination. Of course, the Ravens allowing long drives of 96 and 98 yards. The first team since 2010. The Ravens also gave up 2 95-yard scoring drives on Monday Night Football. So, again, these power rankings will come out tomorrow. I had Baltimore right up there neck and neck with the Buffalo Bills. I think the Detroit Lions now need to be above Baltimore, and Detroit now injecting themselves into the NFC conversation once again. You got Philadelphia, you got the Rams, you got the Bucks, you got the Packers, and the NFC is really heating up. In the AFC, I think the cream of the crop there is probably the Buffalo Bills right now. They're going to be a tough out. Now, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Sean McVay. I really think John Gruden is the man for that job. And who knows, maybe Gruden will wind up in New York with everybody now calling for Brian Daboll's job. But we'll put a ribbon on the Monday Night Football. Once again, Detroit 38-30 over Monday Night Football. Now, I told you I'll take the points, but I liked Detroit to win this game outright. We had a little bit of a rough week against the spread, finished up 7-9 overall, which brings us our season to date record against the spread, right? Against the spread, picking with the lines, 28 wins, 20 losses. So we're holding respectable, but we got to do better this week. And of course, we got a good one on Thursday night with the Cardinals and Seahawks, I believe. Our friend Howard Balzer will be here on Wednesday to preview that one. We also have Chad Ryder checking in on Thursday from NFL.com, one of the best NFL draft analysts in the world. And so we're happy to have a great all-star lineup of guests for you throughout the week. I am Ric Serritella. This is the All Access Football Show. And as I stated, a lot of news and notes around the league. I mentioned the New York Giants. Everybody's on alert. Everybody's trying to hold on to their job. That includes head coach Brian Daboll, whose ego is going to get him fired. And egos destroy organizations. And the irony is, like, his refusal to play and start Jackson Dart is kind of funny when you think about it, because this is his handpicked guy. And Daboll, I think, got a little bit caught up in his promises to Russell Wilson, maybe a little bit of pressure from the front office because they guaranteed him $22 million. They wanted to milk more than 2 starts. But sometimes you just got to cut your losses and trust what your eyes tell you, right? Don't look at the bottom line and what you're paying a guy. Look at the overall long-term beneficiary of this organization, which means, to me, Jackson Dart, it's a no-brainer. You start him this week against the Chargers, and you get him primed and prepped and ready for the Week 5, one of the few winnable games on the schedule. Let him get baptized against the Chargers. That way he comes into the Saints game with some bullets under the belt, facing the live bullets, some experience as a starter. And the Giants can win that game in Week 5 against the Saints, right? I mean, maybe they can turn their season around. Not that I'm holding out hope that they'll do that, because right after the Saints in Week 5, they got the Eagles, the Broncos, and then the Eagles again. So listen, if you're waiting for a soft spot for Jackson Dart to land, there is none. This is the time. The time is now. Russell Moonball Wilson is not getting you anywhere. And we're not going to beat that dead horse to death here on the show, because we did plenty of that last night on the New and Blue New York Giants podcast. That airs every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to check that out, we have dedicated a whole hour to the mess in the Meadowlands. That is your New York Football Giants. Of course, my co-host Dan Orlando breaking it down as good as anybody. So we'll continue to monitor that. I will say this, like, in the previous 3 weeks, Daboll's come out and stated Russell Wilson is the starter. He did not do that in his press conference yesterday. So that tells me if Russell Wilson was going to start, he would have just came out and said it yesterday like he did in previous weeks. Now, the fact that he did not do that tells me maybe there could be a change lurking there right down the road in Jersey. We're broadcasting live from the Jersey Shore. We're fresh off the beach into the confines of your cozy viewing area, wherever you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Please smash that like button, give it a share, and subscribe. We appreciate all the love and support. A lot of ways to support the show. And subscribe to allaccessfootball.com. If you're on YouTube, we have channel subscriptions. If you're on Facebook now, you can hit us with the stars. And once again, it's powered. This show is powered by the fans. So we appreciate all the love that you guys show. Now, the infirmary report, always a lot of injuries to get to on a Tuesday morning. And we'll start off in San Francisco, where the injury bug biting those 49ers once again. They just can't seem to stay healthy, especially with their marquee players. Like now, Brock Purdy sounds like he's going to return this week, but now they're going to be without Nick Bosa for the entire season. Woo, what? Yeah, he tore his ACL, and so now the 49ers' best defensive player will miss the entire season for these undefeated 3-0 San Francisco 49ers. That's a hard loss, hard hit here early on in the season for San Francisco. And how about Dallas? They got Micah Parsons returning to Dallas this week. I think it's a Sunday Night Football affair. Jerry Jones saying we're not going to roll out the red carpet for him. Why not, Jerry? But listen, Dallas now, you saw Jadeveon Clowney make his debut last week. So they add a body, but now they lose a body in Tyler Booker, the offensive guard rookie out of Alabama, somebody I was very high on coming out. He's now going to be out for multiple weeks with an injury. And CeeDee Lamb, injured reserve is a possibility. You saw him leave the game there the other day, and I think it was an ankle. But CeeDee Lamb could go on the IR, which means what? He'll miss at least 4 games. And, Dallas, man, it's going to be a long season down there in Big D. Buckle up. All right, LA Chargers, they get some bad news as well. Najee Harris, torn ACL. Terrible, rough year for Najee Harris. First with that 4th of July fireworks incident. Almost poked his eye out like the Christmas Story. And then now torn ACL, out for the year. And you see this happen, right? When you got these guys who don't participate in training camp, who don't play in preseason, and then they come in and just ramp it up, full go, 100%. I have a feeling that might be what's behind this Najee Harris injury. So he has a torn ACL. He's out for the year. That means Omarion Hampton's odds just increased for the NFL Rookie of the Year. And I do think Emeka Egbuka is the front runner, with Tyler Warren not too far behind. But keep an eye on Omarion Hampton. He is poised to break out maybe this week against the Big Blue New York Giants. And then also in the running back department, James Conner, tough blow for the Arizona Cardinals. He has an ankle injury. He's now out for the season as well. And that's going to mean a lot on the shoulders of Trey Benson there in Arizona. And of course, we'll have Howard Balzer on tomorrow to talk more about how they're going to do that. And I just want to confirm, I'm pretty sure it's the Cardinals and Seahawks this Thursday night. Okay, yeah, Seahawks at Cardinals, a battle of two 2-1 teams in the NFC West. So the Cardinals now down their feature running back, and Trey Benson's been running the ball good. I was a big fan of him at Florida State, somewhat of a very similar back in terms of size and running style. Benson, a big 230-pound bruiser, and we'll see now if he can handle the workload for those Arizona Cardinals. All right, what else we got going on? Cleveland, they just get a big win, and now they get knocked down a few notches. And you saw Joe Flacco all fired up on the sidelines after that game-winning field goal against the Packers. Well, Joe Flacco might be on the run because now his 2 starting offensive tackles, one, DeJuan Jones, who came out of Ohio State, is having a season-ending knee surgery procedure. So DeJuan Jones out for the year. Jack Conklin, their other starting tackle, will miss several weeks. And so Cleveland now getting a dose of bad news there. Wide receiver news. We got Alec Pierce over in Indianapolis. He's in the concussion protocol. Cornerback Kenny Moore is also going to miss a couple weeks for the upstart 3-0 Indianapolis Colts, one of 6 teams in the National Football League who remains undefeated. And Jordan Addison, how about the Vikings getting good news? Jordan Addison coming back. He was serving a 3-game suspension, I believe. So he returned to practice yesterday. A little bit of good news for the Vikings, of course, as they await J.J. McCarthy and his rehab on the ankle. And the Vikings, they got 2 international games back-to-backs, and I don't expect McCarthy to travel with the team. I think he's going to stay back and rehab that ankle injury. And then we got one other wide receiver news on the coaching side, but, you saw that ugly loss to the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons getting shut out. What was it, 20-0? They put up a big donut. Well, somebody's got to be at fault. Somebody's got to take blame. And, former New York Giant, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, former Florida Gator, and former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver coach Ike Hilliard has been relieved of his duties there in Atlanta. So Raheem Morris finding a fall guy to take out his anger and frustration on for falling 20-0. I don't know how it's Ike Hilliard's fault, but that's an interesting move there as the Falcons come off a shutout, which I think was the first of the NFL season. So that's your NFL news and notes and your Monday Night Football recap. Okay, when we come back, we're going to flip the script, turn the page, take a quick look at the college football action ahead this weekend. A lot of big games on the docket. And then we'll get into some of the CFL rule changes. I'm going to tell you why they missed the boat with these rule changes that the CFL announced yesterday. And then coming up at 10:40 a.m. at Eastern, we got the Continental Football League commissioner, good friend Mike Kelly, is going to join the show in about 22 minutes or so. So don't go anywhere. Buckle up. Hunker down, and we'll be back right after this. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. right, back at it again. All right, seeing the place to be. Ric Serritella telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. This is the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live each and every day, 10 a.m. Eastern. You're home for real football talk on this Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. We got Continental Football League new commissioner Mike Kelly coming up at 10:40 a.m. Eastern in about 18 minutes or so. We'll also get into the CFL rule changes that I think they missed the boat. We'll get on that in a second, but let's talk a little college football, NFL draft, and man, oh man, just looking ahead to some of these games this upcoming weekend. And by the way, quick programming reminder: every Saturday we do the college football pregame show with an NFL draft slant. Longtime veteran scout Russ Landy, scout from the NFL, CFL, XFL. He joins me each and every Saturday for the college football pregame show where we'll dive deeper into some of these matchups. And of course, Friday on the website over at allaccessfootball.com, we always highlight the marquee matchups, key prospects, names you need to know for the upcoming weekend and the 2026 NFL draft. We include scouting reports, verified measurements, projections, our insider intel, and everything we've gathered from talking to coaches and players and campus visits. So nobody's covering the NFL draft like allaccessfootball.com. If they are, drop us a line. Let me know. I want to know who they are so I can find out. All right. Ric Serritella here for the next what is it? We got 37 minutes. We're almost halfway through this hour of power. Time just flies by. But, looking at Oregon at Penn State, coming into the season, I really believe that Penn State had as good of an opportunity to win a national championship since the good old Joe Paterno days, right? You got to go back to the mid 80s, which is 40 years ago for those of us who remember, since Penn State has been a national championship contender. And I think they've got a great defense. They've got a running game that's kind of off to a slow start with Nicholas Singleton, and Katron Allen's doing very well, but big things were expected from Nicholas Singleton. He has yet to kind of pick up with the program, but Drew Allar, and Russ Landy mentioned this on last Saturday's show, talking to some of the NFL scouts. There's a feeling now that Allar, when it's all said and done, could be the king of the mountain in terms of the top NFL quarterback prospect for that 2026 NFL draft. Now, I've always had a little bit of reluctance with putting Allar in the tier 1 category just due to his reluctance to throw the ball downfield. I always felt like he was scared to take chances down the field. And, we'll see this Oregon Ducks defense. I mean, they are stymie. And the Ducks defense, the Ducks as a whole, they might have the most talented team in college football. And I don't think they get the respect they deserve. They're sitting right now at number 6 in the AP poll, but we talked about the AP poll is meaningless. But Dante Moore, he's bided his time patiently. He sat behind Dylan Gabriel last year. Now it's his time to shine. And I really think Dante Moore has a great shot of winning the Heisman Trophy, especially if they take care of business against Penn State here. Dante Moore, I don't know what the odds are, but I think they're like plus 1,300, and those are tremendous odds. Carson Beck and John Mateer, I believe, currently are the Heisman favorites, but this is a big game in terms of draft stock, a big game in terms of the Heisman Trophy watch. And over in the SEC, you got Alabama visiting Georgia. And man, this Bama football team has crumbled so fast since the departure of Nick Saban. And I think Saban saw the writing on the wall. Reports indicate Alabama has less than $20 million in their NIL bank account, which is hard to believe that they can't find some money down there in Tuscaloosa. I mean, you got teams like Texas Tech spending north of $30 million, and Alabama nowhere near the top to be found. And you kind of saw why, Kirby Smart there in Georgia kind of surpassed Nick Saban in terms of being able to recruit top players. And Saban saw it, and he wanted out. And maybe if the right job becomes available, Saban will get back into the game. You saw Julian Edelman, who was inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame on Saturday with Bill Parcells. He previously stated earlier this year he thinks Saban is coming back. He's been mentioned as a commissioner for the NCAA. I don't think he'll go back to the NFL. We all saw the debacle that was when he was in Miami and they chose to sign Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees. That was the beginning of the end for Nick Saban at the NFL level. He just got up and left halfway through the season there. But this Georgia matchup, I heard Kirby Smart talking yesterday during the SEC press conferences about Ty Simpson, former 5-star recruit for Alabama, who's playing as good as any quarterback in the college football landscape the last couple of weeks. So Gunnar Stockton is a guy that doesn't really get talked about enough for Georgia. I don't think he's viewed as a top pro signal caller, but man, he's efficient. He adds some scrambling and elusiveness ability there. And so I think Georgia, though, might really smash Alabama. And then the other one, those are going on simultaneously, by the way. Oregon, Penn State, 7:30 on NBC, Alabama at Georgia on ABC. So you'll be glued to the television on Saturday night, right after the other SEC showdown between LSU and Ole Miss. LSU, I think, is number 4. Ole Miss is, I think, 13. But the interesting storyline here was the photo of Lane Kiffin's daughter yesterday, the hard launch of her relationship. She's actually dating LSU linebacker Whit Weeks. And they posted a picture on social media. Obviously, it intensified the upcoming matchup, but nothing like little family ties juice to liven up the SEC. And we'll see how that unfolds and plays out. Garrett Nussmeier, we've talked about. He's got a torso injury from too much throwing during the preseason, which I don't think Brian Kelly should have really shared that publicly. But Kelly did mention they have a bye week in 2 weeks. Sounds like Nussmeier is going to shut it down. He also had a patellar knee injury flare up on him in August. And we talked about the size concerns, the durability issues. Like, this is not a big quarterback. He's a shade under 6'2", maybe 200 pounds, 213 pounds, somewhere in that range. And you see a guy like Joe Burrow just getting battered and bruised every year. You start to wonder about the durability of a Garrett Nussmeier, and maybe Alar can ascend. And there seems to be a lot of love still for Lenore Sellers, who really, he's been a little bit disappointing. I know he had the head injury 2 weeks ago, but you'd like to see more as a passer in terms of the Lenore Sellers experiment and project, because he is right now a project, but the tools are there, and that's going to allure a lot of NFL teams. Arch Manning, he's kind of tumbled in the quarterback rankings here, and we have the top 30 draft eligible prospects at each position up on the website. But Carson Beck now is holding steady as our number 2 quarterback on the big board behind Nussmeier. And we'll see, like this weekend, we'll see if the big board changes. We'll see what Drew Alar can do against probably the best defense he might face ever. All right, so that should be exciting. And again, we'll talk more about that on the Saturday show and throughout the week. And just a quick look at our big board rankings. Excuse me. We updated defensive tackles, pass rushers, and linebackers today. Just a quick look at the top 5 defensive tackles. Peter Woods out of Clemson, also really not firing on all cylinders. He's holding tight onto that top spot because Caleb Banks from Florida, Xavier Harris from Ole Miss, they've been making plays all over the field. And those are probably the top 3 defensive tackle prospects. Dominique Orange from Iowa State is in the fold. Christian Miller, we had our good friend Brooks Austin on a couple weeks telling us about Christian Miller out of Georgia. So those are our top 5 overall. And then the pass rushers, this is a locked and loaded pass rusher group. And I don't know how many of these underclassmen are going to declare, but man, this is really shaping up to be a monumental draft class led by Reuben Bain Jr., the junior out of Miami. He sits atop our big board, as does the junior out of Auburn. Keldrick Falk comes in at number 2. TJ Parker, who was our number 1 edge rusher coming into the season, he's now at number 3. And Clemson's got another good one in Will Helt, who comes in at number 16. But we mentioned Oregon, Mateo Ugalele. He's having another monster season, double-digit sack season last year. He's off to a hot start. And Gabe Jackas out of Illinois, really a good-looking pass rusher there. All right, and then taking a look at the linebacker big board, that we updated today. Anthony Hill Jr., the Texas Longhorns linebacker, he's used as a situational pass rusher as well. He's our number 1 rated linebacker. Whit Weeks, who we just mentioned, dating the daughter of Lane Kiffin, comes in at number 2. And, well, you know what? We didn't get to updating the linebackers on the website. Good catch, Rick. We'll have to update that after the show. But the internal database, we got Sonny Styles from Ohio State, Arvell Reese from Ohio State, and then Tony Rojas out of Penn State, rounding out our top 5. But not too far behind them is Kyle Louis out of Pittsburgh, CJ Allen out of Georgia, Deontay Lawson out of Alabama, and Wade Woodaz out of Clemson, and also Xavier Sori to round out that top 10 out of Arkansas. It looks like a really good, solid linebacker class shaping up for the 2026 NFL draft. And of course, you can go over to the website. The promo code is RICVIP. That's for our listening audience only. You have to go and enter that promo code at the checkout. You'll save 30%. That includes the 2026 NFL Draft Bible featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports. And of course, we got the NFL Draft Watch, top draft eligible prospects for every power conference team right now, if you click the 2026 rankings tab over on the website. So buckle up for that. All right, now we do need to get some CFL talk in, because there was a major press conference by the new commissioner yesterday. And before we get into the rule changes, just highlighting some of the key games this upcoming week as we come down the home stretch, only a few weeks left of the regular season. And we got some good ones there in the CFL when Calgary, 8-5, visits Montreal, who's 7-7, and then Hamilton and Winnipeg, who just played a couple weeks ago when our good friend Ted Gavai passed away. Hamilton came out on top at home, and now they go and visit Winnipeg. So Hamilton 9-5, Winnipeg Blue Bombers 7-7, as teams continue to jockey for position here late in the Canadian Football League season. Now, our next guest, who's coming up in about 5 minutes or so, is Mike Kelly, the new commissioner of the Continental Football League. He actually used to be the head coach for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but now he takes the reins for the Continental Football League, which kicks off in the 2026 summer. And we'll talk to him about everything you need to know about that new league coming up here shortly. But let me talk about the Canadian Football League rule changes that were implemented yesterday. Now, for those of you who don't know, I did spend time in the Edmonton Elks front office last year. I have a really good feel for the CFL. Got a chance to visit several venues, of course, Edmonton, Montreal, Vancouver. Where else was I visited at least half of the venues in the Canadian Football League, and these fans are diehard. Like, the fans in Canada really love their teams. They're passionate about it, just like the NHL. I mean, like, you know, it was amazing to see, like, when the Oilers were in the playoffs, they still had so much love for the Edmonton football team, even though we were down in the dumps, not winning ball games. We did rally to finish 7-4, I think 7-5, and then the new owner came in and cleaned house. So living here in the United States, working in the Canadian Football League, understanding the dynamics of how it works and the fan interest here versus the fan interest there, the changes they made yesterday really are not going to have any impact in terms of generating new interest. Okay. And we'll run through some of these changes. So the end zone now, well, the field is going to be shortened from 110 yards to 100 yards. Okay. Now, the end zones are also going to be shortened from 20 yards to 15 yards. So they're still going to have larger end zones, and the field width will remain the same at 65 yards. The NFL field is 53 1/3 yards wide, for those of you wondering at home. But to me, you missed the mark, because the issue with the Canadian Football League is not the game. The game is a great product. And if you tune in and watch it, it's a faster speed game. It's 3-down football. They also changed the play clock to 35 seconds, but the game was fine. There was no need to tinker with the rules. And the reason for these rule changes, as stated by the commissioner, is to drum up new interest. He's only been on the job 151 days, and here he comes changing all the rules of the oldest football league in the world. I mean, the CFL is older than the NFL. And here comes the new commission thinking this is the way. to Americanize the game and generate more fan interest. Well, I got news for you. Here's a news flash, Commish. I can tell you firsthand that nobody in America even cares about the rule changes you made yesterday. It's not going to sway them one way or the other to want to tune in more. Nobody even cares. And I can guarantee you probably at least 50% of you, maybe more, weren't even aware of the new rule changes that were announced yesterday. And I'll tell you what the problem is. Okay, the real problem is the marketing of this league, because they do a terrible job in the States of creating awareness. It's just horrendous. And they need a brand ambassador. I'm available, by the way, but they need somebody aside from Luke Wilson, who's just horrible for the league, in my personal opinion. And I don't really like to say that about individuals, but I don't think he brings anything positive to the table. This guy's a negative Nancy all day long. But the key issue here is you have 7 of the 9 CFL teams losing money last year. Okay, now a lot of these Canadian Football League owners, they have other businesses, other entities, and they keep these teams alive because of the love and the passion, and that's just the way it goes in the Canadian Football League. Now, a team like Winnipeg, I think they made $5 million last year, so you can generate revenue. But the real problem, Commish, is your television deal. You moved off of ESPN and on to CBS Sports. Now, I don't know if the numbers are available publicly, but I do know the numbers. So I won't state them because I don't know if I can tell them out loud. But what I can tell you is that the Canadian Football League TV deal from CBS Sports is probably the equivalent of, I know for a fact, is the equivalent of like an FCS football division TV deal. Like it's low. It's like we're talking like very little money that they're getting from CBS Sports. Now, they make it available for free on the CFL website, but the majority of football fans don't even know that it exists. And they don't take any advertising or marketing out here in the United States. So Americanizing the game isn't going to drum up interest here in the States. Nobody even cares about your rule changes. What you need to do is create awareness and market some of these marquee players who were prominent college football stars here in the United States. But you don't hear a peep about it, and hence your ratings stink. And they generally just solely rely on ticket sales and merchandise. And when you're running a professional football league, go ask the United Football League. That's not going to work. So you need a new TV deal is what you need. So you spent 150 days in the laboratory coming up with these new rule changes. Well, that's not going to increase the popularity. I think the CFL missed the boat on this one. And you know what? It's funny is in the Canadian media and the Canadian players, and Nathan Rourke, you might remember him, was bouncing around the National Football League. He was unhappy with the changes, right? A lot of players unhappy, a lot of traditionalists unhappy. To me, it doesn't move the needle. Not only that, like for those of you who don't know, and this goes to the lack of awareness in the States, like CFL plays with 12 players on the field. So you have 2 additional players on the field at all times. It makes sense to me to have a bigger field. So now you shorten the field, but you have more players. Make it make sense, Commish. All right. Well, hopefully we'll have the Continental Football League Commissioner Mike Kelly here coming up after the commercial break. He's scheduled to join us here in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about when the league kicks off, how their finances are aligned, what kind of venues they'll be playing in. We'll dig deep into the Continental Football League right after this commercial break. So keep it locked. Don't go anywhere. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report, published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella here on this Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. It's our 23rd episode here on the All Access Football Daily Show. 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, your home for real football talk. And I'm so happy to have our next guest. He's been a front office executive for the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Redskins, of course, a head coach for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, as we just alluded to. He's also had stints in the XFL with the Orlando Rage, and even on the college side of things at Valdosta State and, of course, Widener University. He's also been involved in player representation. He's been a broadcaster. He's seen every avenue that there is to see in this football industry, and he joins us right now, the new commissioner of the Continental Football League, good friend of the show, making his all-access football debut, Coach Mike Kelly. What's happening, Coach?
How you doing, Rick? It's been a while since we've seen each other. You know, I was going through my emails here and everything. I got stuff from you back 15, 16 years ago when I was, the head coach of the Bombers, and I got more stuff about when I was helping represent players. And the 1 year we had Barkevius Mingo go number 6 overall to the Cleveland Browns, and I was part of getting those guys ready. And I got notes from you from there. I'm like, holy smokes, we've been talking football a long time.
Yeah,
a long time. So it's good to see you. I'm just kind of a little mad that I'm not one of the guys that you're all cuddled up with in your intro there. But
I was thinking about it too this morning. I was like, man, I know I got a picture of me and Coach somewhere at a pro day hanging out or something. So, no, it's great to see you, man. And I tell you, I was so excited when I saw this news cross my desk, because I can't think of a more qualified candidate to take over as the commissioner of a startup football league. Like we said, you've seen every avenue that there is in the industry. So for the listening audience at home, tuning in, maybe hearing about the league for the first time, give us a little background about it. Tell us how you got involved with it, Coach.
Well, this has been going on for quite some time, but my roots go back to when I was a little kid in Waterbury, Connecticut. and they had a team there that was part of the Atlantic Coast Football League called the Waterbury Orbits, and they basically were a farm club for the New York Jets, and they wore the same uniform as the Jets. And I can remember going down to Municipal Stadium. We could walk to the stadium from my grandmother's house. My dad was a high school coach at the time. We played in Municipal Stadium, and now I'm going down there to see guys that are beyond college. These are pro players, and I just fell in love with it. And so in part of our initial discussions, I got really nostalgic. I'll be honest with you, because it brought back these really good memories of when I was a kid. And so when you look, people have asked me, well, who's your demographics for this upstart now, restart of the Continental Football League? It's everybody, because there's going to be grandfathers like me that remember going to these games with their dads and what they experienced. And now they're going to have an opportunity to take their kids, who will take their kids, and hit all of it, and go into communities that are underserved for football. And let's face it, we all understand professional football is corporate, America or North America. I mean, the CFL still has, a little bit of more of a grassroots feel than the NFL does, but there's still an absolute corporate influence there. And we want to bring back AA minor league baseball type feel, to have the community have some kind of real grasp on and ownership in that team, feel like it's their team. And we want to see little kids going to elementary school with their local heroes shirts on, rather than some, almost mythical type athlete that they see on television every Sunday. Let's have somebody that you actually know, that can be your hero. So that kind of brought it all about. But it's been going on for well over a year. We watched what another upstart league tried to do. It failed. And I was in the original XFL, and I will go to my grave saying that the structure that we had in Orlando was really, really well done. I coached in the NFL. I coached in the CFL. That XFL year of 2000, 2001 there, the way we were structured in Orlando, I still have all of it, all the notes, all the books, everything. And so what we've done is we've looked at what hasn't worked in these leagues, what has worked, and we're trying to really accentuate on the things that have worked and put our own twist on it also.
No, that's fascinating. And I see the league is going to kick off in the summer of 2026. I have here looking like between Memorial Day and July 4th. Is that?
Yeah, it'll probably open up right before Memorial Day, and then we'll play. What we're trying to do is that these other leagues, everybody's tried to be so grandiose. And, they're flying all across the country. Their overhead is huge. They keep trying to get television contracts that aren't sustainable for them. They're not getting people in the stands. It's bad optics. We're going to be traveling on buses. Okay, this is minor league developmental football. This is going to give guys a chance that otherwise don't know how to get in front of professional scouts. This is going to give them their chance and actually have film, rather than being in a 3-hour workout and hoping that day your hamstring's feeling good. This is going to give you an opportunity to play at a higher level and be seen. And we want to be thought of as a feeder system, for the NFL and the CFL. And and getting back to what our schedule is going to be like, right now, we want to stay contained. We want to do it right. We're going to put 4 teams in the north, 4 teams in the south. It's all bus travel. You play home and home in the north, home and home in the south. You go 1 against 2 at the end of the season. The winner of that, then now you have your only travel of the whole year is playing for the championship between the 2 divisions. So we're looking to keep our costs down. We're in negotiations with all kinds of people right now to really make this a first class experience for the players. Because look, whether you're coaching high school, junior high, college, whatever. It's all about taking care of your players. And if a coach doesn't have the mindset that he has to take care of his players, then you're not doing the right thing. And so that's where my influence of being a former head coach is that we want to take care of these kids. We want to give them an experience as a player that they feel like they are a professional athlete, and they will be a professional athlete. They're going to get paid. We're working on housing and the whole thing, but to keep it confined, keep our costs down, and make it a real grassroots type of football league.
Makes a lot of sense to me, because I think that's been the downfall of a lot of these upstart leagues. They start flying around the country, private jets, it gets costly. The venues simply does not make sense to me. And I've been to some of these alternate football leagues where there's maybe 2,000 people sitting around in an 80,000 seat stadium. Yeah. And they got the upper deck open. They got the whole lower bowl open. Nobody's seated together. There's no ambiance. Half the fans aren't even paying attention to what's going on. Like, yeah, this makes sense, logistically speaking, financially speaking. And let me ask you about the venues, because I always felt like, you got some, especially down in Texas, magnificent high school facilities that are, I mean, I've seen high school football fields in Texas that are nicer than the Rutgers facility here in New Jersey. I'm not even kidding. Right? So, and these schools are begging to have professional football league teams. So what kind of venues will you guys be playing in?
Well, we're looking at several things. Obviously, we want to be able to sell beer. Okay. That's just, we want to be able to sell beer. So there's going to be some venues that won't be, in the availability. Right. We won't be able to do that. But there are so many smaller and mid-sized communities that have municipal stadiums that have gone unused or underused. We're talking with a community in New Jersey that they had a beautiful municipal stadium, and they let it go to decay, but now they've refurbished it. They have a minor league baseball team playing in it, and it's exactly the type of thing that we like to get involved in, and so we're in negotiations with them. But it's find these communities that have a nice municipal stadium that's underused, a place where the fans can hear the players, can be close to them. I've been in those stadiums where and I'll give an example. Back in the mid '90s, when the CFL expanded into the U.S., in the summertime in Birmingham, they were getting 35,000 people. Okay, but as soon as Alabama and Auburn kicked off, they got 4,000 people, and now you're playing in Legion Stadium that seats 80,000. The optics, just as you explained, are horrible. And so, we don't want any of that. We want people coming down to their local municipality, sitting in that stadium and feeling like this is something of their own. So that's one of the premise of as we vet out, because we're getting bombarded by, semi-pro, and I don't even know how to define semi-pro anymore. I really don't.
But a fine line.
Yeah, it is, and it could be way over here or way over there, and we want to find some sensibility in it, because we're not we're not semi-pro. All right, that we're not that. Okay, this is going to be a professional league played at the minor league level. Okay, we're just like in baseball, we're going to take care of our guys. They're going to be outfitted correctly. They're going to have standards to uphold. So we're looking at organizations that already have infrastructure. They've got the basics. Now they want to really find out, how do we do more? How do we do this right? And we've got the plan. We have the blueprint. We saw what happened this year with the Ohio Valley Ironmen, what they were able to put together, what they were able to do in that community, got their schedule canceled because they beat their first three opponents 166-0, and everybody said, we're not going to play anymore. They didn't lose any money. Think about that for a minute. When was the last time you heard of a team that couldn't finish a season, but they didn't lose any money? All right. So we've got the blueprint. The key is going to be finding the people that will execute the blueprint. It's just like anything else. You can give somebody all kinds of tools, but if they don't use the tools, you're not going to have the success. We're vetting people out and having awesome conversations with some really cool people with diverse backgrounds. But follow the plan, and you're going to have a profitable situation for yourself.
Yeah, we saw that too in the European League of Football, where half the teams were competitive, the other half were watered down. You saw all these blowouts, and now there's a division up there. European Football Alliance is split off. They got 12 teams. The lower level league now has 12 teams, and it's hard to sustain. So let me ask you this, because I see here you're going to abide by the National Football League rules. You want to be a feeder program, so that makes sense to me. At least that's what I have in my notes here. You tell me if I'm wrong. And we have also seen, I think, Ohio Valley and then Austin, the Texas team also being announced. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, more of a central Texas kind of a deal than right in Austin, because I think there's a college in Austin there that plays pretty good football, and we're not going to compete with them. But it'd be right outside of Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking. Yeah, we're going to the first 3 quarters. We're looking at something pretty unique. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the CEBL. It's really exploded over the last 8 years, and they're playing in really nice venues. But they have an alternative scoring system for the last 5 minutes of the game, I believe, so every game isn't a blowout. You're competitive going in those last 5 minutes, and it's really exciting. It's something different. It takes you a minute to figure out what's going on, but it keeps people in the stands. And so, as I said, we want to be a feeder system for the NFL and the CFL. So what we're looking at is modifying fourth quarter rules. Take the defense a yard off the ball, unlimited motion on the offense, go from 4 downs to 3. Okay. The traditional clock in the CFL is 20 seconds as compared to the NFL's 25 seconds. Okay. That 5 seconds is a big difference. If you're a play caller, you better be on point and know what you're going from one play to the next. Because you don't have time to go, oh, let's look, how about this one over here? You don't have time for that. Now, the CFL yesterday made an announcement that they're going to modify their clock so that it's 35 seconds as soon as the play is dead. The clock automatically starts rather than waiting for the official to spot the ball and then restart the clock. So I want to take a good hard look at that. But if that's the rules that CFL are going to be playing under, then that's what we should be doing too. Just because if there was one thing that I learned in being in both leagues, people on each side, they don't know how to evaluate the other league. They just don't. And I can say that with a lot of confidence, and nobody's going to be able to change my mind, because I worked in both leagues, and I listened to guys on both leagues say absolutely ridiculous things about players and the way the game's played on the other side. And so this isn't somebody that somebody can argue with me. I've done this. And so I think it would be a unique thing for each league to be able to watch our league play and say, oh, now I can evaluate this guy with my vision and help these kids have a better opportunity. Because a great player in the NFL might not be able to play in the CFL, and vice versa. They're different games. They're different games. And so I think this will give kids more opportunity and give player personnel people a better grasp as to the skill sets of the player.
I like that. You make it appealing to both NFL and CFL. As you mentioned, you want to be a feeder system and be a springboard for players who need an opportunity, right? Players that maybe slipped through the cracks or got injured, right?
The league has always been. Do you realize that Bill Walsh was the head coach of the San Jose Apaches in the Continental Football League? That was his first head coaching job. Okay, before he went to the Cincinnati Bengals as the offensive coordinator. Doak Walker, Steve Van Buren, they all coached in the Canadian Football League. Kenny Stabler, Sam Weich, Otis Sistrunk, Garo Yepremian, they all played in the Continental Football League. And in Canada, Don Jonas and Tom Wilkerson are two of the most storied quarterbacks to ever play up there. They all started in the Continental Football League. So this is the exact thing we're trying to bring back, is that, be smart about what we're doing, keep our overhead low, put together a financial plan that will be profitable for everyone involved, because we'll have an owner, but there's also going to be a community ownership component in every single team. So and now the community has a voice. They have ownership rights, and we're going to have boards where we can listen to what the fans want to see, what they think went well at the stadium, what didn't go well, and always be changing and making things right for the people that are coming to the games.
No, that's very cool. We're talking to Mike Kelly, new commissioner of the Continental Football League. And I have here, Coach, 36 active players, 4-man practice squads. Can you elaborate on this a little bit more?
Yeah, that's what we're looking to do. And those are workable numbers. I think the original Continental Football League had one more taxi squad player. I think they addressed 36 and had 5 as a practice roster. When I first went into the Canadian Football League, we only dressed 32, and then we went up to 36, and that was a big deal. So obviously a huge difference from a college coach that's almost has a mandate that if you don't have 100 guys on your team, you're not doing it right. But we want to make sure that we're not just having guys. We want to have football players. We want this is serious football. We don't want that guy that just fell off the bar stool the other night and said, "I'm going to go play tomorrow." That ain't happening. Okay. These are going to be vetted out. We're going to have regional workouts, territorial workouts, national workouts. We're going to have territorial rights to teams. Makes no sense to me. Just as an example, we put a team in New Jersey and the whole roster is full of kids from Florida, Texas, and California. What good does that do? That doesn't give you any community feel at all. So each team is going to have first refusal rights to local university players or players that played somewhere else but went to high school within that region. Okay, so now you go to the game, you say, "Holy smokes, I remember that kid when he played in high school, but he left and went to Eastern Carolina. We never got to see him. Now look at he's right here." Or that kid was a stud at Rutgers. Look at him. All he needed was a little more tape. And that's the thing that we're trying to do, so that people can recognize. So we'll have the territorial rights. We're going to have a regional draft, and then we're going to have a national draft, because there are guys all over the country that are willing to go play just to have that last kick at the can. So we'll do that. We'll probably go to camp with 50 players, no more, and then cut it down to 36 and 4.
No, that's very cool. And I like the fact, because it ensures quality, 1. And then 2, if you want to get seen by the next level, you're going to get more reps, right?
Yep.
Fewer players, more reps, more ability to be seen and develop, right? So right. I'm on board with that. Now, you mentioned workouts. This is going to be something I'm very interested in, and I'm sure a lot of the agents and players listening at home are wanting to know when will workouts ramp up? How do they go about registering for that? Any information you can share with us on that end?
Yeah, well, we're still in the process of doing all that. I'm still putting my staff together. All right, I've been researching different types of leagues. Because I don't want to be top heavy in my office. There's a lot of stuff that I can do. All right. But there's some things that I want to have somebody that can go ahead and we can talk about it. Now, this is your bailiwick. You go do your thing with that. Sure. But right now we have dates tentatively in mind. I'm not going to put any of them out here publicly yet. But if you go to coflfootball.com, we'll be able to keep you up to date on our website, and that stuff will be that's all materializing. We have a really nice outline of a 90-day plan that started in the beginning of September, and we're going through and working on all that right now. So we'll get it out there, but it would be premature for me to start putting out dates or locations or anything, and then people start looking, it's not happening, and then because I've tried to help out other leagues that tried to start. I can remember going to a tryout and one guy showed up. It was because they did a horrible job of promoting it and getting it out to the right schools. All right.
It happens.
It's just so insane. Some of these guys, they start out and they're saying, well, we're going to get all the players from Rutgers. No, you're not. Okay. But there's a whole lot of good football players at Kane and Rowan. And so let's go find those guys. I know when I had guys at Widener, I had in that 5-year period, I think I had 4 guys that got serious looks from the NFL. And there's players out there, and you just got to go find them and give these kids a chance, because a lot of them are sitting there going, I don't know how to get in front of a scout. I don't know how to get in. I don't know how to get invited to a regional workout that's being held, let's say, at the NovaCare Center in Philadelphia, and you got all these kids from around the area that they can't. How do they get in there? And unless they get an invite because somebody knows somebody who knows a guy who has a third cousin that's in there, now they can get in. Now we want to give these kids a chance. That's what it's all about. We want to give them a chance.
Well, I'm excited, Coach. Again, the league is kicking off summer of 2026, right around Memorial Day. We got time to let the dust settle. You're still, working through the logistics, which is understandably so. And I'd rather you be reserved than put out information that could change, because so many times we say, oh, hey, the league's draft is going to be this date, and then it gets canceled or rescheduled 3 times in the matter of days. But anything else before we let you go here that we did not cover? I think we covered all the grounds here. Any other bases that
I just appreciate you having me on. It's so good to see you again, and I want you involved with this. We'll be talking, and we'll be up in your area and doing all that.
Looking forward to that, man. And we'll keep everybody updated on the website too, as the new information becomes available. The Continental Football League will be updating everybody on the allaccessfootball.com website. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. And where are you based nowadays? Was there a commissioner's office central location, or where are you going to be?
We're using Wheeling, West Virginia as our centralized location, because that makes it easy. From Wheeling, you can get to the East Coast without any problem. You can get to the middle of the Midwest. You can go south. So that's a good centralized location. The fortunate thing for me is that I get to work remotely. I'll be in Wheeling, I'm sure, quite often. I plan on making a presence in every single city that we're in. But I'm down in Southeast Florida right now on the beach, just trying to work on this tan. But yeah, this is I'm going to be visible. I'm going to be I'm easily accessible, and I'm on Zoom calls and all kinds of stuff. It's just a different world that we live in now, because we can have meetings, every day, and not have to be exactly in the same brick and mortar building.
Well, I'm happy to report we have one of the last true beach days here at the Jersey Shore today. It's gorgeous outside. So I'm going to head up to the ocean now, Coach. I'm sure you got to hop on a Zoom call, but we appreciate the time. I know we'll be chatting soon. Looking forward to watching this league come to fruition. And like I said, they've got the right man for the job. No doubt about it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rick. Thanks very much. We'll talk again.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Coach. That's Coach Mike Kelly, the new commissioner of the Continental Football League, kicking off summer of 2026. We just got the whole lowdown. I really like the wrinkle there with the fourth quarter. Keeps teams competitive, but it also gives talent evaluators from both the National Football League and the CFL to evaluate players with their style of game. Offense and defensive linemen separated, off the ball, waggle, motion. So if you're an evaluator and you're looking to upgrade or add to your roster, or this is actually going to coincide now with a good look for after the other alternate league. This league starts up, and it'll be a runway into the Canadian Football League. It'll be a runway into the NFL training camp. So these guys will get exposure, they'll get film, and they'll be in game shape. This is phenomenal, and I can't think of a better man to be at the helm than Mike Kelly, who has been player representation, broadcaster, front office executive in the NFL, head coach in the CFL. He's coached at the collegiate level. I mean, he's seen it all. And you just heard, he's just a slew of information from the business side to the operational side to the evaluational side. The Continental Football League is going to be in good hands. And you can guarantee you, All Access Football is going to be all over it. And he's mentioning New Jersey. He's getting me all excited now. We're going to have workouts in New Jersey. Really, Coach? Well, I can't wait for that because I got players pounding on the door looking for opportunities. Rick, when's a workout coming in Jersey? When's a workout coming in Jersey? And we see Adams Exploits, good friend of the show, says great NFL coaches and players came from the Philadelphia Stars back in the day, right? So the alternate football landscape doesn't just provide an opportunity for players to springboard into the professional leagues, but also coaches, front office, aspiring GMs, evaluators. I mean, this is going to be a league of opportunity. So Continental Football League, check them out. Continental Football League website. They'll have all the news and updates. We'll have all the news and updates over at allaccessfootball.com, kicking off summer 2026. All right, we went a little overtime with Coach. We appreciate the time. We appreciate you guys tuning in for today's episode. It's been not an hour of power, 70 minutes of power today. So we got in the Monday Night Football recap, NFL news and notes around the league in the A block. In the B block, we did some college football preview, little NFL draft talk. Also delved into the Canadian Football League rule changes. I told you why they missed the boat on that one. And then, of course, Commissioner Mike Kelly of the Continental Football League. We thank him so much for joining us. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we are now isolating all of our interviews on the YouTube channel so you can watch it in its entirety. We appreciate all the love and support, the comments, Adam Exploits, all the comments being left on the YouTube. If you're watching right now on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, smash that like button, share it, subscribe it. And tomorrow, we'll be back for the 24th edition of the All Access Football Show on Wednesday. Each and every Wednesday, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter Howard Balzer joins the show. Of course, Sirius XM radio host, Cards Wire. He'll be previewing that Seahawks Cardinals Thursday night football affair. Of course, James Conner out for the season. We'll talk to him about what that means for the Cardinals offense moving forward. So another hour of power on the docket for Wednesday. Of course, Chad Ryder from NFL.com will join us on Thursday. We got the Football Friday affair, Saturday college football pregame show, and the NFL Pick'em each and every Sunday. So, hey, for Ric Serritella, for the Commissioner, Mike Kelly, for the All Access Football Daily Show, this is your home for real football talk. We thank you so much for tuning in. See you tomorrow, everybody. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.